So if it's not circumstances, then what is it? It's up here. Did the people in Africa, did you have any choice about whether or not you were going to be born in Nigeria versus anybody else? No. And so if you don't have any choice about that, again, it's not your circumstance. It's how you think about your circumstance. When you change the way you see things, the things you see will begin to change.
The right conversation can change everything. This is Mirror Talk, Soulful Conversations.
Today on Mirror Talk Soulful Conversations, we explore the shift from victimhood to personal ownership, from insecurity to identity, and from doubt to divine purpose. Our guest is a coach, speaker, and advocate for personal ownership who at just 23 years old is helping young people build lives rooted in clarity, faith, and courage. Brayden believes that what is not dictated by circumstances and that no life is accidental. Welcome to the show, Brayden. How are you doing?
Thanks, Toby. Stoked to be here. We're doing awesome. And I'm excited for a good combo, and we're just about to let it rip. So let's do it.
Let's do it. I'm looking so much forward to learning, from your life journey and everything that you do out there to helping people, to move from victimhood to owning their lives, to becoming I would say, co-captain of their lives, because I believe God is also in that ship with us. So it's also a captain.
Amen.
But before we go into that, I would like us to play a game of wild cards. 3 stacks of cards. First level is icebreaker. Second level is confessions. Third level is getting deep. I'm shuffling the first level at the moment, and I'm just going to pick a card randomly. And I get to ask you a question just to get to know you a little bit better. Are you ready?
Yeah.
So,
sometimes you do not need another episode. You need the right moment, the right voice, the right truth for where you are right now. Ask Mirror Talk is a space where you can bring real questions, honest feelings, and the life moments you are navigating. When you ask, you are not met with generic advice or surface-level answers. You are met with insights drawn from real conversations, lived wisdom, and powerful moments from the Mirror Talk podcast. Whether you are questioning, growing, searching, or feeling stuck, this tool helps guide you to reflections, sound bites, and specific episodes that speak directly to what you are experiencing. This is not about fixing you. It is about meeting you. Ask what is on your heart. Mirror Talk will reflect back what may help you see more clearly.
the first question is, what is your favorite trait about yourself? Your favorite trait about yourself?
My favorite trait about myself, probably my love to get at the heart of the nitty gritty about people. I love talking. I love having hard conversations with people. I love that I am somebody who loves talking about things that other people don't normally like talking about.
Oh, that's good.
And because it allows me to have conversations and experiences with people that not many other people get to have.
Mhm.
So that's something that's a trait I really love about myself.
Yeah. It helps you to, maybe it helps people to come out of their comfort zone, open up more, even get to the root of things, basically. That's good.
Totally.
That's awesome. Ready for the next question?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, turn it upside down. Okay. Let me shuffle this again, pick a card randomly, and get to ask you a question. All right. So the question is, what is a core memory you have? Like a main memory, a core memory?
There is a core memory of it's a 5-week core memory of my life. I work for a company that we do humanitarian trips internationally, and we take groups of youth, about 19 kids. They range from about 16 to 19 years old, and we take them on these humanitarian trips that are very service oriented. We have a service project. We do devotionals. There's a huge spiritual aspect about God and bringing kids together and whatnot. And I got to be in South Africa last summer doing that. And those 5 weeks, I think I came to understand and know a little bit more probably than ever who God was, what he could do for people, how he could show up. I got to see what it looks like when a group of people form Zion, or a place where there is complete unity and equality. a place where people had unconditional love and it was free flowing, and we saw miracles and amazing things happen, and just so much happiness and love and connection. And that whole 5-week period for me is just etched core memory in my mind. If I think about it long enough, then I'll start tearing up and I get like emotional and I'll wish I could go back. But that was a super special and will always be a special experience and memory for me.
Oh, that's awesome. I pray that you're able to experience that again and maybe, reach out to souls out there and help people out there. Yeah, that's beautiful. Are you ready for the last one?
Yes, sir.
So the last wildcard question, this is getting deep. The question is, what is a dream you let go of, but it hurts?
A dream that I let go of.
Yes, but it's like hurts you that you let go of it.
But it hurts.
Yes.
So, I mean, this may transition well into what we wanted to talk about today, but I, for a long time, just didn't dream at all. That left me in a state of being a victim. And because of that, that made it so that I didn't dream and I didn't go out and pursue and I didn't really pick the thing. Like, imagine what would happen if we all were dreamed like little kids again.
Oh,
you know, like the toddlers, when you ask them, what do they want to be when they grow up? What do you want to do? And they'll come out with the biggest, most extravagant answers you could probably think of. Why have we lost that? Where has that gone? Where in the world did we have somebody else tell us that we couldn't do that? Because that's what happened is we suddenly don't have those dreams anymore. And imagine if everybody in this world thought that they were limitless and that they could do exactly what they said that they would do when they were 3 years old. The only people that tell you that you can't do something are the ones that aren't doing it and don't believe that they can. And so for me, off of this question, I think this is a perfect segue into what we were wanting to talk about today, and this victim to victor and victory mentality, in that I had a dream, but I didn't know how to make it happen. And so there's this tension and there's this pull with like, I have these feelings like I just need to do this thing, probably similar with how you felt with doing the podcast in the beginning, but maybe feeling unsure about how. And I remember being on my knees one night and having a very sincere heart-to-heart felt prayer with God and be like, God, I want to do this so bad, but I don't know where to start. I don't know how to get this dream out there, because it was like etched in my soul, but I couldn't like make it a reality, or at least so I thought. But God is a God who can pull a lot of strings, the author of the universe, the one that controls all. And if he wants you to make something happen, then he'll make it happen. So I didn't believe that dream could happen. So it left me sitting in it for a long time, but I don't know if I let it go. But it hurt that like I had the desire to dream, but didn't know how to do it. And I think that hurts. And I feel like that's very relatable to a lot of people. Like I have this dream of something that I want to do, but I don't know how to do it. And what I've come to understand that when I'm asking myself the question, how, I'm playing victim. How is not the right question. We'll figure that part out.
Yeah.
We'll figure the how part. What you have to have inside is that dream burning like a fire so big that no how. Because anybody with a why can be anyhow. And eventually that dream, which is what I'm doing now with coaching and speaking and podcasts and social media, is that dream. And am I where I want to be yet? Totally not yet, but it's coming. It's going to make it happen. So
yes, you're on the way. Yeah. We'll revisit this later in the conversation fully. But I'd like us to, dial back a little bit. I mean, thank you so much for answering those questions that were really, they're really insightful. And what you shared lastly is something that we all could relate with, having these big dreams. I could remember when I was younger, I think I wanted to be maybe an astronaut. I wanted to be, those are big, amazing things. And I wanted to invent unimaginable things. Then, reality sets in and then you're like, oh, okay. Then you start to ask yourself, how would I do this? And all of a sudden you're like, okay, I think I have to grow up in code and let's go of those things and face the reality of life.
Yeah.
And then wake up one day and you start playing what you said, the victim of your environment, for example, victim of your upbringing, different reasons. And we start to find different reasons to let go of our dreams or our aspirations in life. Yeah. But I'd like us to go back to when you were in high school before you want us to take it, that order. You've spoken openly about struggling with identity and confidence in high school. I'd just like to learn, what was the moment when you realized that your identity could not be outsourced to circumstances or other people's opinions about you?
Yeah. Yeah. In high school, I struggled with identity a bunch. I wouldn't say that I was bullied as a kid, but picked on, you could say, is probably a better term, and just a lot of lack of confidence and self-esteem. That put me in the weight room, long story short. And I had this idea and perception that, okay, in order to get the respect and the attention and the praise and everything that I wanted that would feed, like that would make me feel better about myself, came from a physical image. And I got the physical image. I became known as the gym bro in high school, but yet it didn't change. And everything was still a mess on the inside. It wasn't until actually that trip last summer that I was describing earlier, where I had a friend come to me and she said, Brayden, I want you to write down every gift, quality, characteristic, talent, and attribute that you possess, whether you know it about yourself, somebody else has told you, or God has told you. And I want you to write it down on a physical piece of paper. And there's a lot of science to back up why writing things down, especially when creating new neural pathways and beliefs, is so powerful. But that became a pivotal moment in seeing who I was without other people's labels negatively being attached to it. We were all born with an identity before labels ever got attached to it. And so that was powerful for me to see what other people saw in me first before I believed it about myself, or I believed them. And when that happened, that was a catalyst for me to finally see what I had the capacity and the ability to go out and do.
How was that like, once you've found who you were beyond what people were saying about you, what did that internal shift actually look like in real life for you? How did it change you in real life?
I became somebody that was never afraid of conversations. Like, I would go out and ask people. I would do things that probably other people would scare. Like, I love public speaking, and I love teaching and sharing and being out there and posting on social media. I have a hot take that I heard one time. People don't have fears, they have thoughts. And when you learn how to be the captain of your mind up here and learn how to regulate the thought processes that are going on, which then trigger an emotional response, I became somebody who was the captain of my soul and of my life, instead of letting a life control me. And that's the thing, is like, is life happening to you, or are you happening to life? And as soon as I became that captain of me and what I knew I could do, I was happening to life. I wanted to go out and pursue, and I made things happen, and I wasn't a victim anymore. Circumstances didn't happen to me, they happened for me. And I became the one that could shift everything, because there's always more than one way to look at a scenario. If you think that only a scenario can be looked at negatively, you're playing victim. There's always more than one way to look at a scenario, and it can either be happening to you or happening for you. It just depends on how you tweak it, and you being the one in control rather than it being in control of you.
True. What you just mentioned of right now is something I've been working on, on this journey of personal growth and, even self-development and even getting to know myself better. Yeah. And that's about, as believing and internalizing and, holding on to the fact that life is happening for me. Everything is happening for me and not to me. Shifting my mindset in that regard. And that's one of the reasons why I really wanted to speak with you, because I know that you help people move from a victim mindset to a victor mindset. So I would like you to, enlighten me and us on this, and to the listeners on this also. Like, what is the subtle difference between someone who feels like a victim and someone who chooses ownership, like even when life is hard, like someone who really goes for it and owns or becomes the captain of their own life?
Yeah. A big thing is recognizing what's in and what's out of your control. Circumstances, for the most part in life, a lot of them are outside of our control. And so if they're outside of your control, the only thing that you can control is how you think and respond to it. I lived in South Africa as a missionary for 2 years. And to a lot of the outside world, and we say Africa in general, I mean, you being from Nigeria, a lot of people and all over the globe would probably look at a lot of the people that live in Africa, or a lot of these places that, live in poverty, and say, they must live terrible lives because they have such terrible circumstances. But if you met those people, you would know that they're the happiest people that you've ever met in your life. So that thinking must be wrong. So if it's not the circumstance, then what is it? Because I know people that live pretty dang good lives, that have really good circumstances, but they don't seem to be happier than the people that you say don't live in great circumstances. So if it's not circumstances, then what is it? It's up here Did the people in Africa, did you have any choice about whether or not you were going to be born in Nigeria versus anybody else? No. And so if you don't have any choice about that, again, it's not your circumstance. It's how you think about your circumstance. When you change the way you see things, the things you see will begin to change.
If this conversation resonated with you, consider following or subscribing to Mirror Talk on your favorite podcast platform. You can also support the show by sharing this episode with someone who might need it and by leaving a 5-star rating. It helps these conversations reach more people who could benefit from them.
Those people, I praise your people, and I love the people of Africa dearly, and they are among the people that I would say those are victors. Those are people that have a victory mindset and choose not to be victims, when the rest of the world, who has it all, plays victim. And it's all because of what's happening up here.
So we have to change our mindset. Yeah.
Totally.
Change the way we see things in life. That happens in life. Yeah. And you said something also that, that stands out to me. It's about differentiating what you're in control of and what you're not in control of. And then hold on to the things that you're in control of and actually take control of them. And since you're not in control of, for people that believe in God, just leave it to God. He controls everything. He can control everything. Yeah. And talking about God, you are guided deeply, and you also guide people, by your belief in God and your faith tradition. How has your faith shaped your understanding of personal responsibility without turning it into, shame or pressure?
Well, to be honest, the first thing that comes to my mind is stewardship. And if I think about the people that I feel like God has called me to do, I feel like we all were sent here with a mission. We all have gifts and talents and attributes not for our sake, but to go out and bless the human race and the brothers and sisters that are around us. So when I think about my faith, when I think about this social media platform that I have, or any podcast that I go on, or anywhere where I speak, or anywhere where I am, I have a stewardship to bless that daughter or son of God as if he were there. My faith is trying to develop me into his character, into his being and his essence, to stand as a witness of Christ everywhere that I go. Because if Jesus is not here physically right now, you are. So if he can't be here right now, then you better act like he would.
Yeah.
If he were here. And so for me, my faith is developed that way because I now have stewardship, I feel like, in gifts to go out and make those things happen. Kind of like the parable of the talents. If people are familiar with the Bible, it's you take what is given and you go and multiply and you go and bless rather than burying it or hiding it away.
Yeah. We should be ambassadors of Christ here on earth. Yeah. And how do you grow in your faith? I'd like to learn this. How do you, deepen your relationship with God? How do you, fellowship with him? What do you do?
Yeah. If you were to think about your best friends in life and what you do to have great connections with him or with them, I'd say it's the same thing. You spend time with them. If you want to develop a relationship with someone, anyone, you got to spend time with them. You do activities together. You do things that you enjoy and that you like. And so you have to put yourself in places where God can be or already is. And so for me, my religious practices and faith, whether that's worshiping in the temple or studying the word or praying or fasting or serving, any and all these things are practices in my faith that help me to kindle a relationship with God because they are time spent with him. They are things that he would be doing. I'm learning about him, or I'm praising or worshiping him, or I'm talking to him through prayer, just like in a normal conversation with me and you. It's time and interactions and experiences spent together and built together through a process of time. And as that's done, just like any natural relationship would, it grows stronger and deeper, and you know them a lot more.
Spending time with him, praying, like you said, you went on your knees and you started praying and asking, God for direction and answers. So for someone out there right now who is listening to us, I know the person is, experiencing, or the person's in the middle of, maybe loss, rejection, or failure. And we've talked about faith, and we've talked about ownership, and we talked about, not allowing our lives to be dictated by circumstances. How would you guide that person right now, on that journey or where they are, even after listen to everything we've talked about already, but still they don't know the first step to take, the next thing to do to come out of whatever they're going through.
So as a coach, I'm always analyzing situations and people and how come certain situations are happening or how to fix a mindset. And so, I mean, if you want to talk specifically with a case of rejection or identity, one of the first things that I tell people to do is that first thing that friend of mine told me to do was on a physical piece of paper, write down every gift, quality, talent, characteristic, and attribute that I own or possess. And rather than writing just the positives down, for each one of those, I want you to write down the reason why those are actually true. So rather than just writing positive whoop-de-doo, sunshine and rainbow like thinking, I want you to back it up with solid concrete evidence to support why it's true. Because if it's on that paper, it's true, but I want you to see why it's true. And when you can visualize that, see it, come back to it often, it starts to become this new neural highway up here. And once you start running on that long enough, eventually it becomes an ingrained belief and that flows. It's like energy through you. That's the very first thing I would tell people to do, especially if they're struggling with anything about rejection or control or identity. And the other thing I would do is for any situation, I would ask the 5 why question. If you're struggling with something, ask yourself the question why 5 times and see what you get at the very bottom. See what happens. It's pretty cool.
Is it why am I going through this situation or?
Yeah. So if you're struggling with something, so we'll say, for example, I'm so mad that this happened. Why? Well, because blank. Why? Well, because why? And you keep cycling down until you can finally figure out at the bottom what the root cause is. So many times and so often, I actually don't give a lot of advice as a coach. I usually only ask questions. If I give you advice without knowing the root cause, I don't understand it well enough. And that piece of advice, like, sure, it might help, but that person's that's not really going to do anything. How often do we have conversations with people? Like somebody comes to us and says, Toby, I have this problem with this. You've known them, 30 seconds, 5 minutes. And in our brains, we start thinking, well, do this, this, and this, and that'll fix it. But we have not gotten to the heart of the problem yet. We're just giving off advice. And you know why it feels good? Because giving advice and having it work for other people or them taking it makes us look good. It makes us feel good. Like I helped this person. It's natural. But we need to get to the root cause of the problem. And that's what questions allow us to do. And so ask yourself the 5 whys and you'll get a much different response than you just saying, oh, I'm mad because of this.
Get to the root cause of the matter. Ask yourself 5 whys. Yeah, I just need a bit of clarity on that because, some people could hear that and say, okay, I have to ask myself why 5 times. And they don't really know, that it has to be a means to go deeper and deeper into what you're experiencing in life. And I like the idea of, putting things down and writing. Sorry, are you good?
Yeah, we're good.
I also like the idea of writing things down and, the reason why those things are positive in your life or good in your life. I think that reminds me of, the power of gratitude also, because it helps you to be grateful for the positive things, the things that are working for you in life, basically. Yeah.
I mean, that's gratitude. Sorry to cut you off, Toby, but I mean, the power of gratitude, that's why it's so powerful is because you take 2 people, same circumstance. One of them says, well, I don't have this. This is going wrong. This is going terrible. Well, let's take sports. Let's say you lose a game. 2 teammates, one says, dang it, bro, we lost. I played terrible. This happened. This guy fouled me. The ref didn't call this. We lost. The other one says, I'm actually really grateful for this game because I learned this. It stretched me in this way. And I learned this about a teammate or I got better in this aspect. Same circumstance, but there's one that makes you physiologically feel different. Power of gratitude. It's just a subtle mindset thing. So I love the fact that you're bringing that up.
Yes. It's good to be grateful for the things that you have in life. Even if everything is not rosy, but at least there's something that's good. You're alive. That's something. Yeah. And that could be the beginning of your healing or coming out of the dark phase of life. Talking about dark phase of life, I like my segue in this podcast. Talking about, dark phases in life. You struggled with anxiety and confidence growing up. And a lot of us do that too. I also kind of struggle with confidence growing up to myself. I'm still working on it, even at my age, trying to be more self-confident and, growing out of, low self-esteem and all of that. So what is something about anxiety that people misunderstand? And what helped you to rebuild confidence in a healthy way?
I think, first of all, anxiety is multifaceted. We have very extreme levels where people like severely have to be treated like there are just things that are going on too much up here. Most of the time, anxiety, though, I think can be switched with honestly just your thought process. Most of the time, I honestly don't think we need a medication because medications, it's like they're great and they work, but as soon as you come off of them, then you go right back to where you were before. So why not change the root cause of the problem, which a lot of the times can be solved by just fixing some things up here. But anxiety for a lot of people is because they lack control. They lack control over an outcome or a circumstance or a situation. And because it's out of their control, it leads them to think that a particular outcome that they want is or isn't going to happen the way that they wanted it to. And that makes you anxious, right?
Yes.
And so if you can learn how to again become okay with things not being in your control and being okay with the outcome regardless, then there's some powerful shifts there. And that's what's helped me in my anxiety journey the most is, look, if you're not God, you don't know the future. And so if you don't know the future, how come you keep stressing and worrying about and being anxious about an outcome that hasn't happened yet? They did a study where 80 to 90% of the things that people stress or get anxious about don't actually even happen.
Yeah.
So why are we doing this to ourselves? Why are we putting ourselves in this prison, in this cage of anxiety when in 9 times out of 10, it doesn't even actually happen? That sounds terrible to me.
Yeah.
And so if you can't guarantee that something's going to happen, then believe the positive one. And don't just believe the positive one because you know that it's a possibility of happen. I want you to come up with a list of reasons about why the positive one could actually be plausible. Again, we're not just saying that we're going to be sunshine and rainbows, blind optimists and naive about life. No, I'm telling you to be intelligent. If there's a possible scenario that's positive, then give me some reasons why that's true or why it's possible. Don't just tell me I'm going to believe the negative because it happened once in the past before. Give me a positive reason why maybe it won't. Again, I'm not just about blind optimism or being naive about life. I'm talking about being intelligent and looking at a scenario full circle with pieces of evidence to back up why every belief is or isn't true.
And that will be able to filter out, some illusions that we think are reality in life, basically, like, assuming things that's actually not actually are not real or will not even happen, basically. So earlier we talked about, big dreams, growing up as kids, and we then ask ourselves how, and these dreams die, and it's going to be very hurtful when these dreams are gone. If someone is listening right now and person is feeling stuck in the victim narrative, like, I have this big dream, but I can't do it, I don't know what to do. What is one ownership decision that they can make today that begins rewriting their story?
Write out the phrase, I'm going to be different starting today, or I am different today.
Different today.
I am different today, and now I have to live that way because that's who I am. I am different today. It starts with you, and it starts now, not tomorrow, not next week. There's another quote that says, if you wait till you're ready, you'll be waiting the rest of your life. Start today. Start now.
Today.
That's it.
Yeah, that's there. Starts right now. So before we close, but if we could truly had everyone's story would fall to our nails, because a lot of people are going through a lot of things. What story in your own life taught you the deepest compassion?
There are a lot, but every time you see people in a circumstance worse than your own, and in coaching all the time, you have people that come in with these scenarios and with these situations, and you're like, wow. But when you pray to have eyes like the Savior does, and to see people the way that God does, and to be filled to pray for the gift of charity, to pray for the gift of compassion, and to see people for who they really are rather than what they've done or what their circumstances are, it's pretty cool. And I remember being in Africa and living there for a couple of years, and that being expanded to my mind for the first time, and being like, wow, this is, again, a people who had so little, but they had so much more than me. I am convinced that places like Africa, I have this saying that America is a very first world economically, but a very third world with God. Yeah. Africa is a very third world economically, but very first world with God. And a lack of compassion comes from a greatness of pride. And so trying to humble myself and be filled with compassion that I'm no better than anybody else. I'm just my brother here to serve and to go out and do good.
We are all here to serve, and we're no better than our neighbor, basically. We're not better than anyone else. So for people out there who would like to ask more questions, reach out to you, connect with you, work with you, and maybe engage in your coaching services, your advocate for personal ownership and speaking engagement also. What's the best way to do this? What's the best way to connect with you and work with you?
My most popular thing is on Instagram. People can just follow me on there, just _Brayden.Black. And then there's a landing page website that I'm about to throw up on there as well that people will be able to have access to, and they can sign up and learn more on there as well.
Yes.
So Instagram, people can DM me, message, and I'll always respond if people reach out for help.
Awesome. So I'll place a link to your Instagram page in the show notes of this episode. I encourage everyone out there who wants to reach out to Brayden to just, click on the link, copy the link, and reach out to him. Thank you so much. That's been a blessing learning from you. Thank you so much for talking about anxiety, talking about, personal ownership and, how we could build our confidence also. Thank you.
Thanks, Toby. Super fun to be here with you. Thank you.
If this conversation resonated with you, consider following or subscribing to Mirror Talk on your favorite podcast platform. You can also support the show by sharing this episode with someone who might need it and by leaving a 5-star rating. It helps these conversations reach more people who could benefit from them.
Thank you very much.